I was a little bit late in coming out myself. I didn't come out until I was 23 years old. And a lot of it had to do with the myths and lies that I had been told about gay people and the sickness, the sinfulness, the illegality of being gay. When we started the center back in the mid-1970s, we were just the most marginalized of the marginalized organizations. Nobody took us very seriously. And about a month after I got here in 1976, I saw a little article in one of the gay newspapers about the formation of a gay community center. And I said, I want to be involved.
To be gay in America in the 1960s and early 70s was a very dangerous thing. It was illegal to be gay. Many people did go to jail. Police routinely raided gay bars and arrested those inside. To be outed meant you could lose your job, your home, your family. You could end up in poverty and disgrace. The threat of physical violence hung over everyone. But Phil Nash and many others knew the time was right to make a stand.
I wanted to make it clear that it was okay to be gay, and something like a community center I thought was the vehicle to do that. It was all running on coming out energy. People would come to the center and they would become so excited to be in a place that affirmed them in a positive way about who they were and what they could do.
The center made many advances during this time. They weathered a religious backlash from Anita Bryant and her Save the Children campaign. However, it took a new, deadlier threat to galvanize the community around their new center.
The center was at work helping people who were the first people to become ill with AIDS through a buddy program and through support groups and so forth. And it was called the Colorado AIDS Project. The center started that in 1982.
The AIDS crisis created an unexpected benefit for the center. It helped to bring in new members.
Even in the very early years, we had very little lesbian participation. That began to change in the 1980s as more lesbians took leadership roles in the center, and that was very important, especially during the early years of the AIDS epidemic, when so many gay men were beginning to get sick or focusing all of their energy on their friends or loved ones who had AIDS. And for much of the 1980s, the leadership really came from the lesbian community at the center.
As the gay liberation movement reeled from the backlash over AIDS, the Colorado community faced a new threat in the form of Amendment 2, which eliminated civil rights protections for LGBT people. In the aftermath of Amendment 2's passage, the Colorado Legal Initiative Project, known as CLIP, filed suit, leading to the amendment being overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. CLIP was the foundation for the center's current training and legal program.
The toughest thing I have to face is educating employers as to why LGBT inclusivity is still an issue in the workplace. I think a lot of people believe that after the passage of gay marriage and the passage of the Civil Rights Act here in Colorado that this is no longer an issue, but it really is an issue. We have to really educate employers about what we call the gay ceiling, which is the LGBT community not being able to advance within the workplace past a certain point because of their LGBT status.
Probably the most well-known public display of resilience and strength of the GLBT community is Denver Pride Fest. While today it's known as a huge party, it really has a deeper meaning.
Pride Fest is an opportunity to experience everyone coming together for a celebration of love and party and carefree fun. I personally do this because it's an opportunity for me to give back to a community that has embraced me.
My involvement with SAGE has been very helpful because I was also alone. Coming here and being with others was the first break I actually had in realizing that I wasn't actually out on the street in a gay sense. I had not associated with older gays until I came here. Having done so, it makes you feel like you still belong.
When I was 13, I was having a very hard time in my life. I didn't have very many friends, not very many people I could talk to, and I was just feeling very empty a lot of the times, and I didn't know why. And my mom connected me to Rainbow Alley. It became a very large resource, a very large connection to other trans and queer youth, and just a space where I could be myself without having to be afraid or feeling like I'm being judged.
When I was a young girl and my mother came out as a lesbian, I would have given anything to know that I wasn't the only one. And it's wonderful to see these families come together and see the kids connect and recognize that I'm like everybody else out there.
While the center has achieved many wonderful things, we still face powerful enemies who have devised new ways to disguise old bigotries in their attempt to roll back our rights. Today, the center works to support members of the transgender community and those who are gender nonconforming.
There's no single way to be transgender. There's no single path that each trans person has their own experience and their own path. For some, it may include medical interventions, and for some, it may not. Trans people don't have to limit themselves into assuming that they have to adhere to a very narrow gender presentation and identity.
Each year, the center will serve more than 45,000 people, and their volunteers will contribute more than 16,000 hours.
As a volunteer, after each shift I work, I feel a sense of completeness that I've been able to help others as well as bring something into the community that might not have existed had I not been here.
The fact that we've been able to build from less than nothing to as much as we now have is very, very satisfying. It's wonderful to see the evolution from an all-volunteer organization, or nearly all-volunteer organization, to a professionally staffed organization with people who are highly competent and making change in the world.